Hi, this is Ginger. Thanks so much for joining me for the second part of our series on ways to talk with your kids about keeping their bodies safe. Yesterday we talked about having conversations in the car and using soundbite parenting, basically helping to teach in small little tidbits at a time, but reinforcing that message over and over again. Today, as you can see, I am here in my bathroom. In fact, behind me is what I like to call the great dust collector. I don't ever take baths, I always take showers, so that tub rarely gets used. The bath time presents a wonderful opportunity to talk with your kids about keeping their bodies safe. And today I'd like to talk with you about three primary things related to bath time that you can do. And this is predominantly with younger kids. And I suggest starting this as soon as you can, as soon as they're verbal. The first tip is to make sure that your kids know the proper names of their body parts. And I know it's tempting to call them different names or whatever, but it's really, really, really important. And you yourself need to get comfortable with saying penis, anus, vagina, breasts, and teaching those proper body part names to your children. The reason that's so important is especially in the event that they ever become a victim of sexual abuse. You'll want them to disclose that, obviously, if something like that ever happens to them. And it's important that they know to be able to describe what's happened and use the proper body part names. I know of a case that involved an elementary school girl, who disclosed to her teacher, and she told her teacher that her uncle had been touching her buttons. Well, the teacher innocently thought that the little girl was talking about the buttons on her jacket, when in fact the girl was not talking about the buttons on her jacket, she was talking about her breasts. And so the teacher unfortunately missed an opportunity to intervene and help keep the child from being further abused. So very, very important. Please teach your kids proper body part names. Second point, as you're teaching proper body part names, make sure that your kids know which body parts are private and just for them. And then talk about circumstances in which somebody else might need to see a private body part, because that happens, right? I mean, number one, you're giving them a bath, you're seeing the private body parts, or even touching them with a washcloth or something. And if they're the doctor or a nurse is looking at them, during a physical exam, or if they're sick, that's another good time. And both of those are for good reasons, right? I mean, they need to take baths, they need to be washed, the doctor needs to check them out, make sure they're okay. But then talk about the difference between times that maybe there isn't a good reason or just to play a game versus times that it's really for a good reason. So again, make sure that they understand which parts are private and just for them, and when that really applies. And then thirdly, this may sound a little bit strange, but it's important. Make sure that when you are giving your child a bath, that you use a washcloth or a bath mitt. The reason that I say that is that a common MO of sexual predators is to, especially with younger kids, is to try and help teach them how to clean themselves. And it's a great excuse for them to be naked with a child or whatever, and they will not use a washcloth. They're going to use skin-on-skin contact. So again, if you reinforce with your child that using a washcloth is important, that no one should touch you skin-on-skin when they're washing you, especially private body parts, that's really important. And also, during these conversations, make sure to reinforce with your kids that if somebody ever is helping give them a bath, and they don't use a washcloth or they feel uncomfortable, that they need to come talk to you about that. Very, very important. So 3 things again. Number 1, teach them proper body part names. Number 2, be sure that they understand which parts are private and just for them. And number 3, always use a washcloth. Tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit more about talking with your kids and ways to do that, about keeping their bodies safe. Thanks.